of a naked lady. "It's probably not official," Eric said with a grin, "and definitely not obligatory." He leaned down to unsnap the leashes from the collars of his Havanese, Chester, and his terrier, Barclay. I did the same for Ziggy, who was dancing and whining with excitement. This beach did not resemble a Caribbean resort. That is, no manicured white sand-bordered stretches of turquoise water. Boca Chica Beach was narrow and rimmed with coral rock. The rain and wind in the night had washed up a thick line of seaweed and pocked the sand all the way up to the high tide line like an old-fashioned popcorn ceiling. We stopped to admire a handful of rock cairns built of chunks of coral. I remembered from our recent trip to Scotland that such stacks of balanced stones could mean the builder had been practicing patience and gratefulness, or offering up prayers for someone in need. We hiked in about a half-mile and set up our low beach chairs in the mottled shade of a buttonwood tree. A series of small waves followed one after the other, rushing against the rocks that edged the beach, humming like the white noise machine Nathan and I kept beside our bed on Houseboat Row. I could pretty much sleep through anything, unless I had a particularly sharp worry. But my husband, a police detective competing for an upcoming vacancy as captain, had a mind that circled problems like a laboratory rat on a wheel. I'd bought that machine because I hated for the hubbub of our houseboat community to wake him up too early and start his cycle of worrying. "This is beautiful," I said to Eric, watching the 3 dogs frolic in and out of the water. "This would have been so good for Nathan." He leaned over to squeeze my shoulder. "It'll be good for you, too. And I picked us up sandwiches from Bad Boy Burrito as a special treat." My mouth watered, and I closed my eyes. "Don't tell me. Chicken, beans and rice, jalapenos, cabbage, cilantro, cheese, sour cream, tomatilla salsa." I opened my eyes as a parade of birds flew by overhead, in perfect formation. "You nailed it," he said, laughing. "Plus, pico de gallo on the side. I also brought chew bones for the dogs so they won't pester us." He opened the brown bag that he'd extracted from his pack and handed me a burrito wrapped in white paper. We ate in silence, appreciating the perfect mix of ingredients and concentrating on catching every bit of juice before it ran down our chins. Bad Boy Burrito was one of the restaurants that had sunk under the weight of expenses and too few customers over the past year and a half. Happily, it had resurfaced with a new owner and a smaller storefront and the same high-quality food, and I was thrilled to support them. "This is amazing. Thank you," I said, smiling at my friend. I closed my eyes and leaned back in the chair, not even bothered by the one aluminum leg listing left into the sand. With the breeze picking up and the sound of the waves and the smell of seaweed, I could almost imagine myself at the shore in New Jersey, for which, oddly enough, I'd been yearning. "I know you've been feeling a little down," Eric said. I looked up sharply. He was one of the few people in my life who could read me as though I were transparent. "I feel like I'm missing home," I said. "Even though I live here, and Nathan's here, and my mom lives here too, I feel homesick. I don't even know for what." He nodded slowly. "The pandemic touched all of us. Even if we weren't on the front lines or sick as dogs, we've ended up with PTSD. Something honest and optimistic and hopeful that we took for granted has been taken away. We have to feel our way through what's left until the light gets brighter. But it's going to, I promise." He put a hand on my forearm and squeezed gently. "I promise." "I hope you're right." My forehead felt tight with worry, and I smoothed my furrowed eyebrows with my fingers. "I've also been thinking, have you noticed that I take on a lot? If someone I love has a problem, it affects me almost as much as it does them." I tapped my heart with my fist. Of course, Eric would have noticed, but I knew he'd be kind. "That's part of what people love about you," Eric said. "You want to take care of everyone."